Why women pull away when you treat them too well. If you're a man with a successful career or your own business and you want to find the right girlfriend or wife, this channel, this video is for you. There's two answers to this. One, the right women won't pull away when you treat them too well. Only the wrong ones have that toxic, unhealthy habit. And on the other hand, a seemingly opposing paradigm is the idea that every woman will pull away if you treat her too well. Now, we have to first of all define what treating too well means. Treating too well does not mean being kind. It does not mean being supportive, being caring, being respectful, loving her, making sure she's well taken care of. The right women, they'll appreciate you treating them well. They will appreciate you investing. There's an unhealthy dynamic of you investing, she pulls away. Then when you reground yourself and you realize, hey, I'm fed up with this, I don't want to continue with this anymore, then you pull back, you create your own space, and then she starts chasing you back and forth. And that's how you may have wasted months or even years of your life. Remember, time is the most precious resource you have. And it's not even just time, is it? It's actually emotions, because we suffer a whole ton when we're in it. Those are women who are deeply insecure. We all have insecurities, but there's a level of insecurity, a pattern. It's not that they're inherently wrong, but they have a pattern of behavior, of thinking, feeling, and acting that makes them not compatible with you. So it's only the wrong women who won't appreciate investment. That's the first paradigm, but we have to look at the other side of the coin, where you absolutely can overinvest. And I have a list of behaviors that I will share with you now that if you exhibit these, even if you're compatible, even if you're right for one another, she will run away from you. And this is how you have lost women in the past. So stop these behaviors that I'm about to share with you. Otherwise, you will never be able to attract and keep the right woman for the long term. Let's take a look. The first one is justifying yourself or over-explaining. Of course, in a relationship, you will explain yourself, but not over-explain. The most important thing with all of those behaviors is the following concept. It's not the thing, but the place it's coming from. Smiling, for example. Smiling is perfect if it's authentic. But if you smile because you want her approval, we've all smiled because we wanted a manager's approval, a peer's approval, somebody that we felt we needed to get along with. If you smile because you're trying to get approval, because you're trying to avoid conflict, it turns her off immediately because she senses that. Women are way too intelligent. I love it when people say, oh, these are manipulative games. And some people are trying to manipulate women, and it's absolutely utter nonsense. But I would say women are way too smart, way too intelligent to fall for some stupid shit. Some manipulative tactics or games that may get you laid, but it'll never help you in the long term for a healthy relationship on eye level. So smile when you feel like smiling, but don't when you don't feel like smiling. Very important. So justifying or over-explaining. You don't ever have to justify yourself to anybody in any social context. Alex Hormozi said there are 0 social obligations. And it's true. 0 social obligations whatsoever. You don't have to explain anything to anybody theoretically. But you know this urge? Because I know it for sure. I got married to a woman who wasn't right for me because I made all of those mistakes. And I went through a whole period of suffering until I was working for a big tech company, met my mentor, and then 6 years ago I started coaching men, hundreds of them from 40 different countries, and helped them find somebody after I went through my own transformation. But back then, I, in my nature, am conflict avoidant. I don't like it. And you know that the more you like a person, the less you want conflict. Because why? Because we have a need for love and connection, right? And the more there's conflict, the more that connection suffers. And especially when you've put all of your eggs in one basket, then you're particularly worried about losing her. That's why you need quality male friends. That's why you need to diversify the sources that meet your need for love and connection. So if one breaks away, you're never too dependent on it. That's part of the reason why men fall so deep. If you've ever truly, truly, truly suffered after a breakup, first of all, it's normal. to go through a hard time. But if you've suffered just a little bit too long, it's because you weren't spending enough time with quality male friends. That's a fact. So that aside, you need to understand that, as Jordan Peterson says, conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. If you are avoiding a difficult conversation with her, if you're justifying yourself, you're over-explaining yourself, you're delaying a conflict, and then the magnitude of the consequences will go up exponentially. Seek the conflict, not for conflict's sake, but be willing to endure it if it comes as a result of you naturally expressing who you are. Because keep in mind, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right woman. Again, you absolutely can, and we have another video coming out about that, where I talk about it in a seminar that I did with clients in London, so I don't want to go too much into that right now because that's a whole discussion in and of itself. That's a whole other half an hour video. But in essence, you can absolutely say the wrong thing to the right person if you're not effective in your communication. But if there's a baseline level of compatibility, you won't have most conflicts that you could have. Most of the conflicts you've had with your ex-wife, in your past relationship, with male friends, they came as a result of a lack of compatibility because you felt a little bit judged by them. That's not what you want. Stop over-explaining yourself. Explain. Say, yeah, look, that's why I did it. 1, 2, 3 sentences, and then that's it. Why didn't you call me? I was in business meetings. Oh, okay. So what did you do for dinner? Why didn't we meet that weekend? Well, because I was seeing my family. Not, oh yes, and I really would have liked to. In business, in your career, you already know that's an advantage to talk less. The more successful people become, the more they talk less. Funny enough, I talk a lot, but I need to convey concepts. There's a lot that I want to share with you in a very short period of time. But in general, now again, another seemingly opposing paradigm, because you do need to talk a lot on a date. You have to assume the burden of the conversation. That being said, if it's a little bit tense, then you want to talk less. Say, oh, that's what it is. Because it comes from a fundamental willingness to walk away. You don't care if it ends. Mindset is 80%. The most important thing that I help my clients with, who are surgeons, doctors, finance professionals, business owners, computer scientists, men who are doing well in their career, or they're biz engineers, kind men who are successful to varying degrees. Some have a good job, some are 9-figure business owners, right? Everything and anything in between. It's mindset. 80% of success in anything is mindset. And what coaching does is you change a couple of thoughts, like I'm trying to do here with you. You change a couple of thoughts, which is obviously entirely different if it's on a one-on-one basis, because then we can go so much deeper into what's specifically blocking you because it's individual. It's 80% mindset, which is thoughts that are held consciously or unconsciously. Thoughts and emotions change your actions, change your results. And then there's 20% tactics, strategies, frameworks, and systems. They do matter. How do I structure a date properly? How do I tell my stories? How do you tell your stories in a way where it becomes engaging? Not somebody else's story, not a pickup line, but something that naturally resonates with your target audience. In other words, the women who would love to be with you because it's who you are and it's your story. But you can tell the same story, the same authentic, honest story, effectively or ineffectively. So there's authenticity and effectiveness. So explain, but don't over-explain, and stop this need to justify yourself. If there's a little bit of tension, if there's disapproval, cool, accept it. Take the disapproval. It's fine. Because you come from abundance. Because you're aware that you can only have the type of woman you're willing to lose. Next one. If you're not saying no, that's a huge turnoff. The word no is unbelievably attractive to women because most of the time they're saying no to men. An attractive woman, a beautiful woman, inside out, personalities, values, intelligence, and looks, the 3 pillars upon which you want to evaluate compatibility, they're the ones saying no all the time. But if you come and you say, no, without a justification, maybe a very, very short explanation, but never a justification, that builds a whole lot of attraction. be willing to say no. Be willing to walk away. And there's countless examples in your past marriage, in your past relationships, where you probably should have said no when you didn't. And don't beat yourself up for it. You just didn't know. It's funny, men always think, I should be able to figure this whole dating thing out by myself. Why? If your knee was broken, would you do knee surgery on your own knee? No. Why not? Never walk again. Would you let your friend John, who is a lawyer, operate on your knee? No, but John has 2 knees, so surely he must know a thing or two about knees. No. Just because somebody has 2 knees to relationships, that doesn't make him an expert. Dating is a little bit like open heart surgery. If you don't have an expert with you, you might lose the patient. So it's good to get expert advice every once in a while. And you can do that through free resources, like the 100 hours that I have of free content here. If you're actually able financially, then I would highly encourage you to join my coaching program. Click the link below and apply for a free initial consultation, because individual help, be that in a group coaching or in a one-on-one setting, both is individual. That's obviously the single fastest way that can save you 7 to 10 years. You can figure this out by yourself. Yeah, it might take you 5 to 10 years, or you can get individual help. I actually care about helping people who can pay me and people who can't pay me. That's in part why we put out so much content, 400 videos for free. But there's obviously, if you want to take it to the next level, the possibility to do that, like I've done with hundreds of clients from all around the world, 40 different countries, most of them in the US, some in the UK and Australia, everywhere. So click the link below, apply for a free call, and somebody from my team is going to reach out. Next, texting back too quickly. It should be realistically available. You don't need to play games, but roughly match her pace. If you text back too quickly, it signifies to her that you couldn't possibly have options available to yourself, because if you're a man of value, I don't really like that word, because who's not of value? Tony Robbins differentiates between your value, the value of your soul, and the value of you in the marketplace. Our souls are infinitely equally valuable, but we don't have the same value in the marketplace, in business or in the dating marketplace. So when I use the word value, I'm not referring to the worth of a person, because that's just untouchable, as we say in German. Die Würde des Menschen ist unantastbar. The dignity, the worth of a human being is untouchable, because it's an important concept. But if you deal with objective reality, there are metrics that make you more desirable, more valuable in her eyes. If you're doing well in your career, your business, you're got your health on point, or you're figuring it out, you got most of the areas in your life taken care of, except for this one. She'll expect you to have options. And if then you create that cognitive dissonance by texting back too quickly, or the next point is writing walls of text, then she realizes, oh, he's not as desired as I thought he was. And then she unconsciously concludes that you don't have options available to yourself, or that's the conclusion. He's not desired and he doesn't have options. So why would I want to be with him? Because no woman on earth wants to be with a man without options. Next point. Yeah. Again, walls of text, the amount you're texting and the pace should be roughly matched. So if you're texting back and forth with her right now on Hinge, that's fantastic. Match it. Don't text too much. Schedule a date eventually as well. By the way, in my coaching program, you'll learn a texting framework in detail. We'll help you with that in detail, because 99% of men suck at texting. But yeah, roughly 15 to 20 messages from opener on Hinge, 10 to 20 messages from opener on Hinge to date invite. Okay, so don't overdo it. But if she's matching your pace, then you don't need to artificially wait 10 hours and play stupid games. No. If she takes 6 hours to respond, at least take an hour. If she takes 12 hours to respond, you respond within 5 minutes, not healthy. Use your intelligence. Next point. Asking her out more than twice without reciprocation or acceptance. Very important. If you ask her out and she says, not sure, what you do then, without her making a counter suggestion, then you ask her out one more time, a couple of days or a week later. If she then doesn't make a concrete counter suggestion or shows a whole lot of proactivity in terms of making it happen, you move on and you block. Because if you keep running after her, there's 2 things that are going to happen. She won't respect you and you won't be able to have her anyway. And most importantly, it will screw with your aura. It'll screw with your charisma. It'll screw with your energy. And the next woman will feel it. If you have a fundamental willingness to walk away from the wrong people, the next person feels it. If you couldn't give a solitary fuck whether it works out with this one particular individual or not, the next person will feel it. And you become so much more attractive. It's not verbal. It's almost pre-verbal, if you will. There is definitely something to that. If you have a fundamental willingness to walk away, which has to manifest itself in you actually saying, no, I'm going to block this person and walk away. And you don't have to block her, you just have to walk away. If it manifests itself in your behavior by you keeping your value high, you protecting your time because you know what it's worth, the next person will feel that you're a guy who's unfuckwithable. You can still be loving, firm yet gentle. Next, you're giving her too many compliments. You should absolutely give her compliments, and a lot of men also don't give women nearly enough compliments. I never wear a tie, so to say, I decided to wear a tie, so I'm touching the tie on point. As I look like I'm running for office. But yeah, politics isn't really my thing. Anyway, I digress. So, you give her too many compliments. You should give her compliments. There's no hard iron rule on how many compliments per date, but I would say that at least every half an hour, one solid compliment. At least. I compliment women a lot, or have done so in the past. I mean, I've been with Fernanda now, my fiance, for 5.5 years, but you absolutely should give her compliments. But if you overdo it, or if you do it in a generic way, she'll be like, yeah, I get it. If you do it too much, she feels overvalidated and she won't want you anymore. A man of value won't overdo it. Balance. Next, agreeing when you don't feel like agreeing. Another sign of overinvesting, which will turn the right woman off. It comes from your desire to seek approval and validation, and you don't even know how deep this goes. How many layers of social conditioning, are on you. How deep that pattern sits, that behavior of craving or approval. That doesn't change from the day to tomorrow. It doesn't take years either. You don't need to do a whole lot of inner work. It takes a couple of months, 2 to 3 months. How long does it change? How long does it take to change patterns? 60 days, 90 days? Whatever the research shows. You have to make a decision to value your opinion of yourself more than anybody else's. That does not mean that you won't take feedback. The only reason you've gotten to where you are in your career or your business or a hobby or some area of your life where you're excelling is because you take feedback. Absolutely. But take feedback from people who are experts in a certain area. Everybody else you can ignore. You know when people say, don't care about the opinions of the wrong people. Well, who are the wrong people? You have to be very selective with whose opinion you care about, because not caring about anybody else's opinion is going to make you a pretty horrible person. Do the people who intimately know you think of you as a good person? That's the first question. And then, do the people who you consult in certain areas in your health or your fitness or therapy, do they think you're making progress in that domain because you're acting in accordance with the strategies that they've given you in the frameworks? So there are domain-specific experts with whose opinion you want to care about only in that domain, and then the people who actually intimately know you, which is very interesting, by the way, because somebody can be an expert in one area. I believe I am the single best person in the world to teach dating and relationships. Without a doubt. I've learned from some of the best people in the world. I've learned from one of the best psychologists in Germany. I'm not a psychologist, but I was able to learn a lot from him in person and from a lot of the best people in the world. I've been learning for 15 years in this space. So am I absolutely convinced? Yeah, 100%. And also I just have a proven process of coaching, frameworks, and systems that just work. There's not a single challenge you could present me with in terms of getting more of the right dates, keeping women interested in you, confidence, mindset. That game is finished. It's done. It's solved. It always works 100% of the time if you execute it. But if you ask me about fitness, weight loss, and nutrition, I would say I know more than 95% of people. And yet, when I talk to a friend of mine who's the best weight loss and fitness coach in Germany, who also got a big brand, I realize I'm a bumperclot. I know very little. And I actually interviewed him for my coaching program, and we talk about the different types of magnesium and protein synthesis, and he debunked the myth of aspartame. But it goes so deep, I realized, there's levels to the game. So when you talk to me, I know more than 95% of people about nutrition, health, fitness. But when I talk to him, it's nothing in comparison to his level, because he's been coaching this for, 5 or 10 years. every single day, just like I have. Can you imagine when somebody were to come to you? Let's say you work in medicine or you work in finance and somebody watches a video on the internet about something in your domain and tells you, hey, I think XYZ. I think a Solana coin. You're like, you watched a TikTok video, bruv. You watched 4 hours of YouTube content, okay? You've done a little bit of investing yourself. You haven't studied medicine. You haven't worked in finance in 25 years, whatever your particular domain, software engineering, whatever your domain may be. Because you've done only this every day of your life. So you've gathered so many reference points. Point being, if you care about somebody's opinion, only care about their opinion in that particular domain. Basically where they've gotten the result. If somebody has the result you want, then you can listen to them. So agreeing when you don't feel like agreeing comes, because that's full circle, comes down to you being willing to walk away and saying, hey, look, if you tell me something that I don't agree with, I'll tell you. Doesn't mean I need to be rude about it. Doesn't mean I need to be unpleasant about it. But you know this acceptance-seeking head nod? I used to do this. And I guarantee you've done this as well. It's very subtle. It's like, you know, your eyebrows go up. You look like a pussy. That doesn't mean you can't smile. If I smile a lot. I have very crooked teeth. But they're very healthy, by the way. It's funny, both of my parents, they work in medicine, and in Germany, and my mom used to think that braces are a scam back then. That's why I have these. But I like laughing, and I'm not going to hide that. I used to be very insecure around it as a teenager, and I couldn't give two fucks because I realized, there's some women who care, some who don't. Fine. Whatever insecurity you have, by the way, be it the hair, be it this, be it that, none of that shit matters, okay? I'm a ginger with crooked teeth. If I can do it, you can do it too. There's zero excuse you have. Keep it full circle. You smile when you feel like smiling. But you know this concept, like, what is that? Be grounded, be calm, be loving, be positive. You don't need to consider everything a frame battle in and of itself. Frames are very important and you need to understand it, but not everything is a frame battle. Just ask yourself here, do I agree or do I not? And if you don't agree, don't agree. Next. Smiling when you don't feel like smiling, we talk about. Nodding your head. Interesting. I didn't even read these points. So there you go. Leaning forward towards her too much. Like leaning forward. See, I naturally do that because I'm empathetic. But guess what? In a coaching context, I can do that because you're not trying to make love to me. I'm not trying to get you to love me intimately. So if I lean forward, if you have empathy, you may naturally do that. That's fine. But don't do that too much on a date. Because on a date, there's two things, connection and attraction. I want connection with you. I don't need attraction. So I'm not doing it consciously either. And there's a superseding rule when it comes to all of this. Authenticity trumps everything. It's not the thing, but the place it's coming from. Any single one of those behaviors can be considered attractive if owned. I once, 7-8 years ago or so, went on a date with a woman where shortly before the date, I was filming personal development training videos for clients. And because back then I was doing personal development and martial arts coaching. And I was ranting. I was talking about the different psychological human needs we have. 3 hours like this. So imagine the flow I'm in when I arrive on the date. And I don't drink and I don't consume any other drugs. So I get to the date. The date lasted 40 minutes. 35 out of the 40 minutes was basically me just lecturing her on the different psychological human needs. Is that ideally how you run a date? No. Are there better frameworks and strategies? Of course. But because I owned it 100% with zero doubt whatsoever, 5 minutes later, after I ended talking, we're in the hotel next door. Connecting intimately. So all of these do matter, but there is a certain level of confidence that you can achieve, that I help clients achieve. Again, apply for a free call if you want my help with that. If you tap into that without drugs, without external substances, just by using tools of priming a mental and emotional state, by turning it on, where it supersedes all of this, where it activates something primal within them and the individual technique doesn't matter anymore. But since you're not going to be in that state all of the time, you should be there most of the time, but you're not going to be there all of the time. And by the way, it doesn't have anything to do with volume. You don't have to be as loud or as extremely passionate as me. You can have that a little of confidence and be quiet. But since you won't always be there, the technical element also matters. That's why we're going through this list. So this is extremely valuable because most men never learn this. And I may have heard of it. If you heard of it, but you're still making even just one of those mistakes, you haven't understood it yet. So don't lean forward too much. Next one, you're not setting boundaries. You have to learn to set boundaries. Extremely important. If you set a boundary, it's actually an investment in the relationship, because what I learned from my mentor, by the way, me and him, we coach together these days, which is an unbelievable combination. We've done so for several years already. He said to me that, David, you actually only have to set boundaries with people that you want to have a relationship with. If somebody is dead to you, if you don't care about them anymore because they've disqualified themselves, because they've acted in a way where you realized it's either personality mismatch, or our values are not aligned, then you don't even have to set a boundary with them. You can just cut them out. So if you set a boundary, it's you investing in the relationship. And most importantly, here's what nobody understands. If you set a boundary with a woman in a very loving, can even be in a playful way, firm yet gentle, that only leaves room for one of two outcomes. The relationship ends because every boundary is an implied ultimatum. In a relationship, you will never set an ultimatum, ever. Unless you're actually about to walk away, but that's 11 years into a relationship, she's misbehaving. If you're about to set an ultimatum, it's almost already fucked. So you don't set an ultimatum, but a boundary is an implied ultimatum. So if she doesn't accept the boundary, the relationship ends right there. And everybody knows this. You've just never heard it articulated like that, most likely. Or she accepts the boundary, and then what happens? She changes her behavior. And her accepting the boundary, or you accepting the boundary with her, because she'll set boundaries with you. When I do or say some silly stuff around Fernanda, she'll set a boundary with me. I'll say, sorry, babe, won't happen anymore. It's not a one-way street. It's not to say that you can't take feedback. But if she then changes her behavior as a result of you setting a boundary, that is a massive investment from her into you. And human beings only value what we invest in. Let me say that again. She will only value you if she invests in you. And that's rarely with money. It can be with money, but it's with time, it's with emotions, it's with effort, it's with behaviors. The more she invests in you, the more she'll value you. So you have to create a lot of different ways for her to invest in you. Not in a manipulative, tactical way, but it has to manifest itself in your behavior somehow. Next, gifts too early, flowers too early. Just don't do that, please. It's not necessary. It doesn't help with anything. For your 1-year anniversary, yes, up until then, maybe a vitamin D bottle, maybe some protein powder, maybe an Audible subscription, something small. Even if you can easily afford it, you're not trying to buy her. I had a client, this is a true story, a month ago or so, who went on a date with a lady who's now his girlfriend. Thank God. I mean, we'll see how it goes, because I have expressed certain concerns around that. But sometimes they don't listen. And again, it's my job, 80%, to keep you out of the wrong relationship. It's not just to slap another testimonial on the wall. By the way, 99, no, that's not true. Most of the best testimonials I have, I can't even share. I have some of the most successful surgeons in the world, some tech company owners who have made extremely successful, who we've helped find beautiful partners. And I'm not just talking physically, but really as a person that I can't even share because privacy matters to some of them. Anyway, I digress. This guy, okay, and sorry, with all of those, my job is to keep them out of the wrong relationships. It's not just, okay, first best girl, first best lady, we throw you into that relationship. No, we create almost a funnel of quality options, disqualify most of the wrong ones. I'll get you to communicate in a way so honestly, so authentically, so effectively that you elicit red flags, that you elicit the little crazy behavior very quickly so you don't waste 6 months or a year and a half. Oh, it took me 3 years to figure out that she's kind of crazy. No, that should happen within latest the first month. I can tell you that usually within a day or two, okay? But with those guys, it's keeping them out of the wrong relationships. So this client of mine, amazing person, sweet guy, super successful financially. I only actually realized how successful financially that guy was after he told me what he did there. And this is actually really, really stupid. And I told him that. I was like, this is stupid. Don't ever do that again. And he was just laughing because he didn't care. He took her for a dinner, a whole evening, right? Gets picked up in a car and then go for dinner. He spent 12,500 euros on that dinner, plus a bottle of wine that was close to 10,000. He spent over 20 G's on that one dinner. I said, that's just not rational. That makes no sense. No matter how much money you have, you shouldn't do that. And he's just like laughing, haha, because he doesn't care. Fine. It's not about that. You're trying to buy her love for you. It won't work. Okay? It's not about the thing, but the place it's coming from. It's not about the fact that you can't spend money on her. If you want to spend money on her, get her a gift every once in a while. That's fine. But it's more so experiences. Take care of logistics. Okay? Take care of the hotel and the flight and all of that, and that's fine. And the right woman will really appreciate it, and the wrong one won't. This brings me back to the first point. The right woman shall really appreciate it. No matter how much I invest in Fernanda, she'll appreciate it. I can go to Burger King with her for 21 euros, and she'll be happy because we spent time, or we can spend thousands in a weekend in London in a nice hotel. She's equally happy. Genuinely. I mean that. The right woman will be equally happy if you invest, if you're present with her, if you make her feel alive through the use of your words and your behaviors. Because it doesn't matter how much money you throw at her, she can still not respect you. So be careful with gifts and flowers. Next point, driving too far to pick her up. Instead of sending her an Uber, just send her an Uber. That's usually better. Next one, you text to ask her out. She ignores the date invite and continues on with the text conversations before, and you ignore the disrespect instead of calling it out. So you text her, you have an ongoing conversation, you ask her out, she ignores this part and just continues with what you were talking about before, pretending that you didn't ask her out. That's a level of disrespect. If you don't call it out, she will never respect you. Counter argument, a woman who would do that is almost immediately disqualified because the right woman wouldn't do that. But you'll have to call it out. Again, sometimes you just have to call out bad behaviors with one person in a respectful way. It doesn't mean you need to be disrespectful. You'll stay calm, you'll stay grounded. For then to have the charisma and the aura and the energy and the masculinity, whichever synonym you want to use, with the next person to feel it. Sometimes setting a boundary now, knowing that it will never go anywhere with this one particular lady, will increase the probability that the next lady will be really attracted to you because there's something that shifted about you. Next. Making it exclusive too early. You should wait at least minimum 6 weeks, ideally 2 to 3 months, before making it exclusive. Because if she can have it like this, comes fast, goes fast, if she never had to earn you, and again, this is not some, I'm going to make her fight for me. No, you just wait. I'm going to make her fight. Just don't make it exclusive too quickly, because otherwise it seems like you're needy. If you've hired an employee, do you take the first best person, or would you not rather evaluate 10 to 20, ideally more, different candidates for the same role? Because then you have immediate comparison. That's why you need a lot of high quality options at the same time to compare, to look at different options at the same time. Because then you have immediate comparison and you realize, whoa, what I thought was good is nothing. And currently, you don't even realize how low your standards are. Men come to me and think, David, I'm too picky. No, you're not picky enough. You think you're too picky. That's your problem. That's not your problem. You just have no idea on how to use dating apps, Instagram, or in-person approaches to get truly quality options. And again, I'm not just talking physically. Next. Talking about future plans too soon, that creates pressure and freaks her out. Be present, moment focused. If you talk about the future, talk about it in a playful way. A lot of guys, when they, you've had this, when you actually like her, then you start, you feel this subtle or not so subtle shift within you that you don't want to lose her. Let the behavior or the tendency or the old pattern arise in the space of loving awareness and say, that's no longer me. I will no longer act that out, even though there may be an old emotional tendency. I'm allowing that neural pathway to slowly die out, because you can't get rid of pathways. You just let them die out by focusing on new ones. Creating new habits in your brain does not mean you actively kill a neural connection. You just stop letting it fire. You don't engage in a certain behavior, emotion, for example, anymore, acting out neediness, and instead you have a different one of being calm and grounded. So it starts firing, and it fires less, and eventually that emotional tendency won't even be there anymore. Same is true with nervousness, approach anxiety. It's just a habit. Neuroplasticity is very real, my friend. Next, being too available. Be realistically available. If she can't Thursday, then you go, like you invite her. Let's say it's a Tuesday. Oh, we can meet on Thursday. And she goes, I can't Thursday. Then you go, well, what about Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? No. If you make your entire calendar available like that, she loses respect for you. Next one, not asking her for small favors of investment. We've talked about it already. Laughing about a joke of hers that wasn't funny. She senses it. You can just say, good try, good one. Or you can even say, that was intellectually funny. If you want to make somebody feel good, or you can just say, hey, good try. Or you can say, yeah, that was intellectually funny. Because you know how some people, you can appreciate a joke, genuine with good intent to make her feel good. You can just say, yeah, that was intellectually funny. You're like, oh, what does it mean? Well, it didn't provoke laughter in me, but I appreciate the logical wit about it. So you can actually do it. Not, again, this is not some manipulative nonsense. You want her to feel good, but you own your reaction. I will not fake a laugh if there isn't one. And the last one is bragging about your success. It seems tryhard, desperate, and self-qualifying. You want to make sure that you express instead of trying to impress. You self-amuse. If you focus on only 2 things during your date, it goes a lot deeper, obviously, but if you want to simplify it, if you only focus on 2 things during your date, which is 1, to self-amuse, to express yourself freely, and on the other hand, to just connect to her, the probability that your date is going to go well is so much better, even if you've achieved a lot in your career or your business. There's plenty of other guys who've achieved equal or more. No matter how rich you are, no matter how successful you are, or even if you're not, by the way. This is good for guys with money and without money. The right woman does not care. Yes, it makes you objectively more attractive. But if you're somebody without money, the right woman will build something with you. When I met Fernanda 5.5 years ago, I had nothing. Okay? And if you're already doing very well, you want somebody who doesn't want you for that. Yes, it's okay if she wants part of that. That's fine. And to be a little bit attracted to it. But there's things about you, your personality, maybe even some physical appearance, who you are as a man that goes beyond just that. Does it play a role? Of course. Do we need to live in delusion? No. And if you would like me to help you personally, if you're serious, then just apply for a free initial consultation, and then we'll find out if and how we can help you. What's going to happen is a member from my team is going to reach out to you, schedule a call, and then we'll figure out if and how we can help you. You got absolutely nothing to lose if you would like to stop wasting your time. And if you're not in a position where you can financially invest, don't worry. We have 100 hours of more content here that will also be able to help you. We have a Spotify podcast. We have thousands of free videos. Most importantly, go take some action.